Welcome back, Keepers of the Flame. Okay, we're a little teeny itty bitty bit windy here, so excuse the you hear wild and loud whistling in the tree. Tree is. Okay, so 3i Atlas, right, made its passage yesterday. I kind of just went into the energies, kind of processed the energies, got into some Stellar Nation stuff, and just kind of felt for the day. And the day, well, I had a lot of appointments on Thursday and Friday, so I was busy with those. But, so, it is a heart-opening experience because we need to kind of process what it is that we're manifesting, what we really want for humanity, not what we're told to want by any authority or structure, but what's actually in our hearts. And that has nothing to do with any narrative that we've been raised with, anything we've been indoctrinated into. We are getting back to the authentic, genuine self, and that does not involve the Scarface Sky Daddies. 3i Atlas is like, alright, we heard your call for a mass extinction, but it's a little befuddled with your frequency, energy, vibrations, so we're sending some stuff to make sure that's what you actually want from the cosmos. And it's not. It's not what we want from the cosmos, and we just told the cosmos that. Directly or indirectly. They're just, just like we're being observed here on the planet by the authorities are being observed by the other authorities, whatever. They're not really authorities, they're co-creators. We've just done some really stupid shit on the planet and given our consent away to some sort of nut job, mangled brain people who just who, I don't know, numb from the brain down, just want some power and control and giggle at us when we do stupid shit. Because we don't pay attention to when the rubber meets the road. We don't pay attention to the billionaires that are just poisoning everything so they can have an army in a sand toy box. It's weird. We're literally under toddlers right now, and we're like, oh, look at how cool that flamethrower is. Okay, well, meanwhile, back at the ranch, we're still being really shitty to each other, so there's that. But I think 3i Atlas was like, I'm gonna ching on your heartstrings. I'm gonna change the electro biofield that you're conducting off of and ting off of it and see what I get fed back. And that's what it's here for. It's not a, what do you call that? We are aliens. We're all aliens. We're all aliens in the ecosystem of the cosmos. We're all aliens. So this notion of separateness needs to fuck all the way off. So they're just chinging. They're just making sure. Are you guys good, or do you actually want a Comet for your next election? Like, you put on all those bumper stickers, and now we really do need to check ourselves, because it is putting out into the ethos, And granted, it's taken. What do you call it? Okay, so what is it that that's like what the ethos here is when we do things like pray and make predators and whatever else. So we just need to be really because it's gonna keep chinging back and forth. Although I will say, I don't think enough people on the planet truly want the Extinction Manual to proceed. It's just they don't allow themselves to step out of the narrative to explore any other narratives, because that has to be their narrative. They the trauma that is caused by these systems, and I'm guessing probably that's what Three Eye Atlas was attending to, was easing the trauma that's producing the narrative that nobody really can see clearly enough to consent to. That's where they went wrong with the trauma bond, is they induce the trauma first and then gain consent after the trauma was. So that in the ethos, in the universal laws and the spiritual laws, that's a big no-no. So that's why they won't. How do I put this in language? This is where it gets tricky. Like, I can talk about the 3D stuff, but like when I have to get up into the energies that don't have logos attached to them, it's difficult to bring it down. So the people in politics, right, that are, on that pay grade, they've consented, they've done the horrible acts in order to get into the politician's office, whatever. Yes, everybody has to do it. There's no one who's exempt. They have dirt on everyone. We're just focusing on the tunnel they allow us to focus on. However, when that is not appropriately handled, like you don't have a direct conversation about how the narrative is actually playing out, even though people can see exactly how it's playing out, or at least they can now. The issue is they didn't expose enough. They didn't expose enough. And I think they're under a lot of pressure to do that now, which is why they're letting so much slide and slip and fall and whatever else, because they have to. In order to not reap the benefits of the universal laws that are put in place that don't allow for that particular energy to flourish. So it's going to be a tough task asking humanity to assess the evil that they have allowed and to flourish in their own communities and get off the train. But evil doesn't flourish because there's a deity overseeing it or conning people. Evil flourishes because the community consents to it. Whatever you want to consider evil. So the consent goes a little bit further by the upbringing, by the trauma bonding. When you introduce trauma into someone's system and then scratch your head as to why the outcome isn't so fan-fucking-tabulous, yeah. It's like Einstein saying, I'm doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And it just, we adjust the narrative in the biblical sense just enough so that the mask that is worn by the product, I guess, of the manifestation just looks a little different. It just looks a little different. We're going to put a different mask on it. Instead of there being, endless wars, there's going to be some, massive die-offs of, people, dudes that are going out and unaliving women that are in a vulnerable state. And now we're going to have family annihilators. And now we're going to have men just, not liking their girlfriends or wives. And then we're going to have, I don't know, coworkers who, I just don't care for. Whatever it is. Whatever the narrative is to keep the fluctuation going. Because Gaza's not cutting it. Hence why they need to entrain the population to be angry, upset, spiteful, and then have easy access to vulnerable people. who they've been instructed explicitly to exploit, abuse, and dispose of. So, yeah, femicide's a thing. So, aside from Gaza and the Congo, and that movement's global. It's happening in the EU and the UK. It's just there. And again, it's different masks, different flavors of being terrible to the people who are actually responsible for keeping the human race going, which would be women giving birth. So, you know, that's a way of telling the ethos. Again, this is about what we're telling the ethos. The ethos is hearing, hey, we'd like to go extinct. So we're going to brutalize, torture, maim, mutilate the folks responsible for giving birth to our civilization. So, and we just keep buying into the narrative. We literally pay to be propagated. Well, that too. We pay to be propagandized. We pay for our indoctrination in various forms. Like, I'm on one of them right now. So, just keep that in mind as you're going forward. Make sure that your energy is not going to those narratives. And that can be difficult because a lot of times people are blind to it. They don't get it. They don't understand it. They were told this is how it works and this is how it's, you know, supposed to function in society. And when it doesn't do that, the devil got in the way. The devil did it. The devil. It's the foosball. Okay? So that's what they're told. Okay? Not the, hey, you might want to go back and read the fine print in your soul contract and make sure that you're actually not bringing this shite to life. Because that's what's happening. If you read the Dark Triad textbooks, they're manifesting it themselves. They don't need outside assistance. Because they have a contract, a soul contract that they all have to keep at each other's throats. So we are, as a civilization, forced to pick a side. And then the people who get still more sympathy from the general populace, you know, because Islam took a hit after the Twin Tower thing. So they need to get the sympathy back. And so they are trying to get numbers up and get the sympathy back. Because when they have the sympathy, people of victim mentality are like, hey, I'll sign up as tribute. Heck yeah. So that's a mentality. That's a frequency, energy, vibration of all religious people. Victim, victim, victim. There's no other vibration that could possibly fit in there. And that's the travesty of it. It's just like, that's the big frequency that has to be registered by the ethos because of those narratives. It's victim, victim, victim. So, doing the not partaking thing is a challenge, especially this time of year, because now is the birth of fresh human sacrifice. This is why Stanley Kubrick made it so prevalent in his movie. It was all Christmassy, fresh sacrifice. They never saw their little girl again, and not one word was fucking mentioned. Not one word. That little girl just vanished into thin air. Christmas. Fresh blood. Up to put on the slaughter slab. So, they can paint it pretty and make it victim, but there's still a frequency, energy, vibration that gets put out with that. And then we get all upset and huffy and puffy when it manifests its way into society. Yeah, well then get off your effing knees, kids. And it's not just Christianity. It's the entire Dark Triad. It's the entirety. It's not one or the other. It's not, oh, we need to go to war because somebody's got to keep the Dark Triad going. No, get your energy out of there entirely. Just get it out, because it's not facilitating anything that the average human being would particularly care to facilitate. I mean, there are people that are so, well, so in order to be homicidal, you have to be suicidal first. I think I did this in a video way back. But in order to be willing to take, you have to be willing to give. Yep. So, this is such good, cookie energy. But if we don't look at it now, we're going to suffer for it in the future. So here we go. So knowing that to be true, and the authorities know it, and I'm not talking about scientists, medical staff, or religious people. I'm talking about the shit running the show. When you have English. Again, translation with the energies, because there's not a lot of language that the English provides to put this into context. So when I'm just gonna wait for the wave to come back, because it's like, it just asks, like, how do I put this in English form? Because I can see the energy moving, but I can't give it words. So we've given the authority or autonomy, sovereignty over to, with consent through the political, religious, and economic, I want to say even text, okay, through those three structures, okay, so they have resources over our spirit, resources over our mind and heart through the political, and then resources, or the power and control over our resources, our pentacles, our time, attention, energy, through having us work 40-hour weeks for them while we, okay, so that's the, okay, so when that wave goes out into the ethos, again, it's an energy thing that I can see and understand, but putting language to it. So when we say to the cosmos, the ethos, that we believe in some Scarface Sky Daddy, because that's what it is. If you didn't read your fine text or your fine print on your soul contracts, which is your holy books, and I would suggest you read all of the Dark Triad, because they're directly connected. You don't escape it. And again, it is mythology that we are just using as a storybook to manifest. Okay. When that goes out into the ethos, that we are poor, helpless little creatures that don't have any say over our lives or any autonomy over our particular vessels, ships. Ship. See how they maneuver the... Okay, so when we put that into the ethos, when we have a narrative that supports victim mentality, oversight mentality, slave mentality, torture, mutilation, rapage, genocide, all of those narratives, okay, we give our consent to that and we send it out. Not only, does the 1% get their way, but the ethos also gets our repercussions for that. The ethos does. Now, if you want to call that God, that's your business. But right now, I'd get off as much off the The Abrahamic train is a possibly could because we just got a warning shot. And they're waking us up as much as they can before they do what they gotta do. I don't know. And that's the thing, it's like, we're not helpless here. We're the ones in charge. So if we just take our time and attention off some sort of schmuicide, homicide narrative, we can begin to shift out of the extinction manual intentions. Why would someone want that on Earth? I'm not here to explore those narratives. That's not my job. Well, my duty is not even my concern because it doesn't really matter at this point. The end result is the end result, right? So I'm not here to fill in the blanks or give a narrative that I personally have not been. I don't care. I don't care if it's lizard people. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it is, the fallen angels, the Nephilim, I don't care. I don't care if it's giants. I don't care if it's a race. I don't care. It doesn't matter. We are still in control here. We as a collective can shift. We don't need to take anybody out. We don't need to be violent. That's how this whole thing started. Is we had this notion that we had to be cruel, horrible, wretched, awful people to each other, which doesn't serve anything. We are co-creators, and when we co-create violence, it's not a good plan. It doesn't serve a purpose. It doesn't. We have been conned into believing that it serves a purpose. It does not serve anything but extinction. Okay, so if we can get off the torture narrative, get off the trauma narrative, and get onto something that's not conducive to going extinct, I think we might make it through this. And I think AI Atlas was like, hey guys, could you just take a moment and remember, that's what Saturn and Neptune are coming through to me as. Saturn is the rings of memory, like the rings in a tree. The memory of the tree and who it was, and how it lived, what it witnessed, the remembering of your exact existence. Not what somebody told you it was supposed to be, not what some authority figure gave you permission to be, not what someone says, if you don't XYZ, why are you even here narrative. It's I beam this frequency energy from the core of my existence, from my heart. Not I've been given a list of things from an authority figure. No, this is how I conduct my energy. This is what feeds my soul, and this is what I need to be doing here. Stop looking to the outside. That's what got us in a lot of trouble in the first place. This is why so many of us are tired and just need to relax, meditate, sleep, take a nap, and get into dream time, because it is, in fact, a remembrance. It's a remembering of what's happening. And so a lot of times what's going to happen is, like, because this whole AI thing is taking over, a lot of people are going to start getting off the internet, myself included, because I had a vision that AI is going to hijack not only my account but everybody else's, and then just it will be a dead internet. It's on the brink already. It will be dead internet, and the only things on it will be machines. And so because again, man has that extinction manual running in the background. Every time they incite something, it's not for humanity's best interest. But what we're failing to comprehend is that we are way bigger in numbers than the top 1% of people on the planet. And so if we just pause for a moment, do the inflection, do the wintertime ritual, which is go inside and process. How was my year? How do I want next year to be? Where can I improve in my life? Where have I made mistakes? How can I say I'm sorry or apologize? How can I move forward in a different direction so I don't stay stuck in shame, guilt, fear, blah, 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 blah? Because that is not where my person, my soul, my spirit was intended to be. Okay, so it's a compassion for all living structures and beings, not a let's continue on the same path of wiping things off the planet. It's not doing anybody any good. We live in paradise and we're actively destroying it. That makes no common sense. Not even apes do that. Which is not where we came from, but whatever. Apes don't even destroy their environment. They know better because they know it actually sustains them. So what are we doing here, kids? What are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, so get off the trauma chain. Get your central nervous system back into some semblance, and let Saturn and Neptune do their work. Right, Atlas gave us a warning shot. No, we do want life. We do want to live. We do want to love one another and stay connected on this intimate web. We do actually want that. It's just we're allowing all the systems that are put in place to distract and whatever else from that. Okay? So when you are in a line that is, making you choose between one thing or another, get out of line. Just get out of line. Just get out of that line and go say, I'm going to carve a new path for myself. Where people are not being harmed and tortured and mutilated and offed. I'm going to choose a different path. And that is my right as a sovereign human being to do so. We don't have to get on a death train because it's one of the only narratives we're given. We can choose something else entirely. We can create something else entirely. That's what Saturn and Neptune have been cultivating this whole time while they're sitting there playing fucking cribbage. Asking each other why they stuck their dick there. Okay, so I had to. It had to happen. Anyway, so Saturn is not like Saturn is, hey, what kind of memories do you want to create? What container do you want to live in? What do you want your container to feel like? What do you want to be encompassed in? What memories do you want to ripple out into life? What memories are those? And yeah, it might not be creating, a family and functioning the way society has instructed me to function because I have breasts and a vagina. It might be, hey, I don't want to be a provider. I don't want to seek out, female companionship and be a slave labor person to a corporation who ultimately wants me off the planet and extinct after parasiting all of my okay, you get it, right? Again, stop doing the carved path thing. Go, okay, I'm gonna go my own way because this is a multi-dimensional fractal ecosystem and this is not functioning very well at all, kids. Not functioning. Okay, so getting on the narrative of your own script, not somebody else's, not anything from the past, creating something new entirely. Like, I'm not talking adhering to any archetypal thing, because the archetypes were all written by rich, white, bored men who were trying to control and manipulate society. Scratch it all. I'm saying this thing right here, rewrite it. Rescript it for something that doesn't involve people being, okay? Rewrite it. Flip the narrative. Switch the lenses you wear when you look at the outside world. That's how we do this. Now, it is not in denial of reality. It is a restructuring of how society is going to work now. Not in the future. Now, starting right here in this moment, your pen meets the paper. And society is not actively seeking your trauma, torture, and your life force energy to feed some crazy ass matrix so some dude at the top can have $270 billion just because he has a very serious mental disorder called hoarding. Okay, that's not what this is for. Okay, this is not why we came here. This is not why life was intended to be here. This is not creation. This is extinction. So we just need to create a story, a narrative that is not about extinction. It is that easy. It is that simple. And I know everybody's like, it needs to be complicated than that. Nope. You get out your pen. You know, your little... Okay, I have lots of notebooks, but I'm not sure if I want to flash them. Let me close this one. Get out your pen. You got your little notebook. Let her rip, okay? And again, don't use a comic book narrative. Don't use some sort of screwed up Hollywood script. Don't use the Abrahamic. Don't use any of the religious narratives. Don't use the spiritual guru narrative. What funkadelic thing can you bring into existence that involves the most joy, pleasure, bliss, happiness? And again, if you're going off the Abrahamic narratives, you're thinking between your legs and you're numb from the brain down. Okay, so no, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about servitude, slavery, whatever. Okay, I am talking about authentic living for each and every single living being on the planet. And everything is living. I know you don't like to hear that, but it is the truth. You don't like it, get rid of your phone. This right here, crystalline, liquid crystal, okay? And then there's a little teeny tiny one that's connecting us right now on the World Wide Webs. Okay, so please construct things mindfully, like from the heart. So no, don't use no and not, or don't. Focus on what you do want. And remember what the universe is hearing and is going to come back at us with. Okay? Love you. Until next time, keep your flame.